I wanted my protagonist to have a positive and negative representation. This was to give the audience an insight of her from two different perspectives, so they wouldn't instantly dislike nor like the character and have to watch more of the film to decide how they truly feel towards her. The theme of drugs and alcohol in the night before scene give the protagonist a bad light. As drugs and alcohol are illegal and the character is underage, it is likely that these will have an influence on how the audience view her. Although, I wanted to portray her in a more positive way to make her seem a lot more innocent and lost, mixed up in the wrong crowd, which would continue into the rest of the film when the audience realises she should not have been there and it was all out of control. The morning after scene shows the other side of her, the more vulnerable side where the audience have sympathy for her. The shots of her alone and the final zoom at the end present this feeling. Having mixed feelings for the protagonist helps raise questions to the viewer's minds and leaves the audience feeling ambiguous towards her and understand what she is going through. I purposely haven't made it easy for the audience to instantly connect with her, as I wanted them to feel a bit wary of her, which was created through the use of drugs. This is because I wanted them to understand why other characters are also wary of the protagonist, because she isn't open and they don't really know who she is, just like the audience don't. I felt this was the best way for the audience to understand her, through confusion and awareness. My inspiration for my character was based off Sean from This Is England. He is a lost soul, wound up innocently as a 12-year-old boy with drugs, alcohol and sex. He was taken advantage of by people older than him, and he didn't really know what was going on around him. Similarly, Courtney, my character in my opening sequence, was very lost. Her family had issues, and through no fault of her own, she was always being pushed towards drug and alcohol use. Both these characters are similar because they are innocently committing offences and are walking down the wrong path. I have shown this by the use of drugs and alcohol. These are frowned upon and connote danger, addiction, and abuse. They are very commonly associated with use, and the two are therefore represented in a negative light. However, as my target audience is similar age to the characters, they are less like stereotype youths in this light. I used a female protagonist because during my research, I asked my target audience what they would rather and why. The responses I got were mainly female due to the fact that they said they liked to relate to the protagonist, and thus made it easier for them to do so. They also said that they wanted her to be a similar age to them. I chose from the range of 16 to 25-year-olds. This showed me how having the character relatable was very clearly important to my target audience, so I'd try and make her as relatable as possible. I also constructed a male character who is not prominent in the opening. He is shown to give the protagonist drugs. Immediately, the audience will link this character to drugs and alcohol. He is seen to be peer pressuring her. I chose to represent him in this way to make the female character seem more innocent, although, in all the shots he seems happy and including her. These two factors make the audience also have confused feelings towards him. However, although the two characters don't seem it, they're in fact binary opposites. I felt it was important not to have the antagonist presented as much as the main character, as this emphasises her role in the narrative. I have used stereotypes of teenagers in order for the audience to instantly know who the characters are and what they are about, such as lots of makeup, messy, rebellious and out of control. The girl is in stereotypical, young, chavvy clothes, and she is taking drugs. These are often quite common perceptions of young people, so I've chosen to keep with this and follow the stereotypes. I also kept within the stereotypes of having an archetype, an ingenue. I've used several close-ups on the girl to show her makeup. It shows how it is all smudged and it connotes disaster. I've also used a range of long shots which helps show the audience her clothes. I've used extreme long shots to show how alone and isolated the character is, to represent how she actually feels, which enhances how the conflict is typical of a social drama.